Today we're taking a road trip to 4 different lighthouses. We're starting here in South Haven, working our way up to Holland, then we're going to Grand Haven, and after that we're going to finish in Muskegon. And the plan is to share some facts about each of the lighthouses along the way, because I like to refer to them as the castles of Michigan. They're some of the oldest buildings that we have that kind of represent the maritime past of Michigan. Let's go. We have a big day ahead of us. This is going to be a lot of paddling if we pull this off right. I'm pretty sure this will be our shortest paddle too. All right, we made it out to the lighthouse. So let me tell you a few of the facts that I find interesting about the South Haven Lighthouse. The South Haven South Pier Head Lighthouse sits at the entrance of the Black River. The first wooden lighthouse was constructed in 1871 and then was replaced by a steel lighthouse in 1903. The tower was designed by 11th District engineer James G. Warren. Its design is a shortened design of the Muskegon South Pier Head light that we will see later today. In 1913, they said, "This is unsatisfactory," and moved the tower 425 feet to the end of the pier where it still is operational today. Have a plan to surf today, but when there's a break on Lake Michigan, I always got to try. And I was able to catch one wave, and now look at me.
You been here before?
No. I'm glad you knew where this was. I think this one is the most famous for its name.
Well, and
because every other one is usually like the city or like the thing, yeah. But everyone calls this one Big Red.
Yeah, it's actually, I think, called Holland Harbor Lighthouse, but no one ever calls it that. I've seen Big Red, obviously, but never from the water, so I've never paddled out this channel before, have you?
All right, now that we made it out here, I feel like it's time to tell you just a little bit about the history of this particular lighthouse. The first lighthouse was built in 1872. That means it's getting close to 150 years old. The breakwaters were added in 1905. The fog building was added in 1906. It got electricity in 1932, and Andy has something to say about its name.
This lighthouse has the nickname of Big Red, but it actually used to be beige, which in 1956, it was painted red, and then it became Big Red and became so iconic.
So Big Beige became Big Red, and formerly is known as Holland Harbor Lighthouse. It's said to be the most photographed lighthouse in Michigan, so we thought we would join in on that fun. All right, I'd say that was a successful paddle.
Yeah, it was super nice out there too. The water's feeling really warm.
Yeah, it's actually starting to warm up for the season. So now we're gonna head into town and we're gonna try to find something to eat. I'm going to do the choose two meats meal. Our next stop is the Grand Haven Lighthouse. Personally, this angle is my favorite perspective of this lighthouse. A lot of them shine from the land, and so does this one. But once you get out here, it just feels a little bit different. Here's everything that I can find about this lighthouse. Grand Haven actually has two lighthouses. The first one at the end of the pier, known as the Grand Haven South Pier Entrance, or the Fog House. And then just down the pier, they have the Grand Haven South Pier Inner Light. The Fog House was built in 1870, the lantern was added in 1907. The concrete foundation was added in 1922. A small boat was kept inside the foundation, and I was shown some plans that show a davit system and a large door that could be used to launch this boat as needed.
One of the cool things about this channel and this lighthouse is on the right day, freighters actually still come in here. So it's really cool. You could be out walking the pier or out on a paddleboard and actually see a freighter come into Grand Haven.
The Pier Marquette 41 barge has a long history in the Great Lakes. The tug barge combo has been in service in some way for over 50 years. I guess technically the barge is Pier Marquette 41 and the tug's name is Undaunted, and that is a gnarly name for a tug. They've both had a few overhauls and a couple names, but have been in service with this current configuration since 2002. He has some mad backing up skills.
I mean, to go all the way out the channel, like, had a pretty good clip.
Yeah.
It's kind of sweet looking.
Yeah, it is.
This is one of my favorite just hangout spots.
Absolutely. You kind of get tucked in behind the break wall here, and other boats aren't kind of like getting this close to it, so this is definitely one of my favorite spots. Typically, this is when we head downtown for a snack or to Oddside for a beverage, but in this case, we need to get to Muskegon before the sun sets. I was hoping that the day would go like this. I didn't want to jinx it by mentioning it earlier, but we timed it just right and the sun is setting at the Muskegon Lighthouse. This is our last lighthouse of the day, so let me tell you about it while we paddle around it, and then we'll just enjoy the sunset. In Muskegon, the original shore-based lighthouse was established in 1851. Today, Muskegon has two significant lighthouses, the South Pierhead Light, which was built in 1903, and the South Breakwater Light, which was built in 1930. Both of these lighthouses can be accessed by foot and is typically how I walk off my meal from the deck. If you're lucky, you can catch the Lake Express ferry leaving this channel. One more fun fact before we enjoy this sunset. Muskegon had one female lighthouse keeper, Mrs. William Monroe, took over for her husband after he passed away. She managed the lighthouse as a keeper from 1862 until 1871 when she resigned from the service. I started the video by telling you that I think that the lighthouses are like the castles of Michigan. They're deep in the history. They're some of the oldest buildings that we have. They stand at the edge of the water, welcoming or warning people about what's on the other side of them. And, you know, if you catch them at sunset like this, I mean, it's just pretty magical. Personally, I find the lighthouses fascinating, and I do appreciate that there are people that care about them so much that they actually take care of these things and make sure that they're properly restored and make sure that the history of Michigan stays intact. So for them, I want to say thanks, because then it allows me to just do this and appreciate such beautiful structures. Until next time, cheers.